Thank you for being present here. Platform engineering, internal developer platform, internal developer portals, backstage, get port. These have been the buzzwords revolving around DevEx, and we will touch base a lot of these words today in our talk around why you should think of your internal developer platform as a product and how this can help us to bring the developer happiness and to make developers' life as easy as we can so they can focus on delivering the business value. Okay, so to introduce, my name is Ninad Desai, and I work as a staff engineer in platform and SRE domain at InfraCloud, an improving company. In past, I have been speaker and have conducted workshops around GitOps and progressive delivery at KCD, Bangalore, and Chennai. Outside work, I do like reading and cricket, especially test matches. Ruturaj?
Hi everyone, I am Ruturaj Kadikar, working as senior SRE at InfraCloud. And I specialize in Kubernetes, observability, SDLC, reliability. When I'm not playing with technology, I like to play flute. So yeah, that's all about us. For the agenda for this session, we'll talk into the current explosion of tools in SDLC and how it is actually hampering the developer experience and all, and how a well-designed internal developer platform can help to mitigate these issues and increase the experience of a developer. And finally, we will walk with some key takeaways who are starting with this journey. So to make it more interactive, I'll play the person of a developer, and Ninad, my friend here, will be a platform engineer.
Sure.
So let's start. Assume that I'm a developer joining a big company, and it is my dream company. I know that this company builds some cool stuff. They have continuous deliveries and deployments. And you can see how excited I was. Okay, so induction is over. I'm dreaming that I have stepped into cloud and coding everything. But I am greeted with the wall of config creatures and DevOps degrees. So as usual, I am assigned with a mentor. And I go to him and I say that I want to start contributing. But he's giving me the reality check that, okay, we need to start for getting onboarding, getting access created, getting started, and blah, 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 blah. So the first thing is getting access created. I am following with the ID teams. And, I thought that onboarding will be smooth. But nobody mentioned that I have to maintain a separate sheet for tracking all my logins. So I'm still waiting for my accesses and hearing all the updates in the meetings. While my team is deploying the code, I'm getting deployed to every calendar invite instant. So again, I thought that, okay, now let's start with some documentation till I'm getting access and everything. But hey, the very first thought was, is there a tool to find a lost documentation? Because you have to first solve the mystery where the documentation lies. And then, if it is found, you have to decode the 2019 version of the system that no longer exists. So, again, I go to my mentor, asking for the documentation, and this is it. So, yeah, we get into the call, and after 43 tabs, 9 repos, 5 pipelines, and a secret conference rabbit hole later, I still don't know where the main app lives. So, this is the problem with every developer, and at that time, I thought that, memory foam, why memory foam is becoming the standard, because remembering all these tools is really difficult, just a pun intended. You might be wondering what I was doing 2-3 weeks later, what was working for me. It was just Slack and Teams meetings after meetings. So what wanted to start with the sprint goals was ending up with sprint ghost. And my spirit was shipping faster than my app. So every developer, more or so, has to go through dungeons of docs, valley of meetings, chaos of CI/CD to earn their real first merge in any big organization. And I was feeling that, am I alone? No. Many people, many developers in such organizations face the similar problem due to no standard onboarding, tribal knowledge, tool sprawl, and no context or attention to the security or cost. So we developers are not overwhelmed with the tools, but the number of tools and the context switching. And the result of that is fragmented developer experience and slower deliveries. So only we are suffering? No, there are other personas in any organizations who are also suffering with similar kind of issues.
Do you need some help, mate?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Hey there. So I'm a platform engineer who has recently joined this org to solve some of your day 0, 1, and 2 problems. And trust me, I'm not here to just throw YAMLs or config files at you. In my past org as well, I have built the internal developer platforms and systems that can scale your happiness, right? But before I jump into the thick, right, let me briefly introduce myself. See, anyone can build automation stuff like what we have done as part of the DevOps or SRE world, right? But here, my job is a bit different to build those platform or systems, right? That will make sure to take care of your day-to-day developer experience and your happiness.
But I have been using these platforms before, and more or less it felt like some gatekeeper processes created by DevOps and infra teams, and that created some dependency on those teams. What are you making different this time?
That's a great question. And I know we unknowingly built the guardrails while trying to simplify the infrastructure space. And, but we have learned our lessons hard way. And quoting Gregor Hope, right? Any platform don't win their end users by mere force or mandate. They win by being the most transparent, most easiest, and most empowering way, especially for developers, to let their work get done.
Okay, so you mean that you will provide me some autonomy to make my own choices, but without making it harder for me?
Exactly. See, if using platform is harder than skipping it, developers like you will always skip it, right? So this time, the internal developer platform that I will build will have low friction as much as possible, clear docs, fast feedback, and actually the golden paths paved in a way that it will give you more freedom.
But isn't giving more freedom may lead to chaos, like there might be outages, security issues?
Well, and to avoid that, while building this platform, I will build it into 2 different aspects, as you could see here. The core part is something that I will take care of, and the flexible part, a flexible periphery, is something that I will let you to have a whole autonomy over.
Can you bit elaborate on this core part?
Uh, I would say it's a reliability with freedom. Think like road, electricity, or clean water. These are the things that we expect to be provided with some governance, right? Same way, I will build all the end-to-end infrastructure, the code pipelines, GitOps way of doing deployments, unified observability system, and automated security, everything baked in a standard, rock-solid manners.
But what if I require a specific database, or I prefer React or Angular?
So that will fall under your flexible periphery. You want to use MongoDB, Kafka, React, pick whatever fits your need. We will make sure that this core part is as modular and as API driven so that you can plug in the flexible periphery part based on your needs so that you can innovate freely without having any chaos.
Got it, got it. But we had these engineering or platform practices before, like automation, CI/CD. Aren't they enough?
Good practices definitely help, but they are not enough. Like when we were building infrastructure, we were earlier only thinking about the technical success, which was the expected output. But what about the outcome? Have we really putting effort to move the needle forward for our developer? Is that making life like your developers easy? So that's where we have realized that we need to shift our mindset from just being an infra builder to actually a product thinker. So earlier we were focused on output, but this time it will be about the outcome and importantly, adoption. This time, I will make sure to continuously measure if whatever I'm building is really helping and making your life easy, and then based on your feedback, I will keep improving as much as possible. And that's the shift we want to highlight here. So when you will start treating your internal developer platform like a product, that's how the perception and focus should change, right? Treat it just like the product that you are building for your end users, but this time your end users are sitting next to you in your office, right? And help them to not only just build tools and script, but an entire self-service path so that it would be just a one-click way for them to do the things. And yeah.
So I'll admit this looks cool and it is a very huge task. So how do you even start with this?
One word answer is market survey. I have already taken that step, by the way, and I am talking to all the developers in our org and trying to figure out the things that they want to know, interviewing them, trying to find out the top 3 friction points, and see if there is any overlap between the work that 2 development teams are doing.
So any new complaints or is it the same crack?
Well, it's the same thing over and over again. Onboarding took too long, repo have no consistent structure, nobody know what's the right way to deploy something. So instead of trying to solve all the problems, I will try to focus on a shared pain point first and then try to develop them as a platform with a product mindset.
So how this platform with a product mindset will translate into what you will do differently this time?
To sum up, it starts with research, sitting with developers like you, watching the workflows of your day-to-day tasks, and then finding the pain point that create the most friction and frustration for you. And then building the thinnest viable platform. You can say just the smallest set of tools and APIs that will help you to fix some of your day-to-day problems. And one more thing, this time I will make sure to put effort not only on the technical side, but on the advocacy, marketing side as well, and on our adoption side as well.
Okay, so coming to my original problem, how would have been it different if there was a platform as a product mindset?
Let's do one thing, no? You start sharing the problems that you had faced, and then I will try to help you with what answers or ways that I'm trying to build for you to solve some of those challenges.
Okay, though, so very first problem was I was onboarded and it was taking too much time to get accesses. It was long time for me to start contributing.
And we saw this happening repeatedly across all the teams, all the developers just wasting their days while waiting for accesses. So this time, the internal developer platform that I will build for you will have everything centralized. You just raise a Jira ticket or any form of ticket, and it will trigger all the end-to-end automation workflows that will provide you all the accesses, same as of what your team already have it.
This sounds amazing and it will save a lot of time and frustration.
Yep.
So next problem was about documentation. So it was all scattered. There was not a single point to start with.
And we have been all there, right? Irrespective of if you are a developer or a platform engineer or a SRE or whatever you would like to call it as. And it was costing a week per new hire for us. And so this time, I will make sure to have everything centralized in my developer portal, which is a subset of the developer platform. All the documentation, wiki pages, APIs related information, everything will be available at just one stop for you.
This is really helpful. So let's say I had an idea and I wanted to create a service around it. I spent a complete day creating the repo, wiring CIs, creating Docker files, configs, etc. And also I had to make sure that I'm not violating any security policies. All I wanted was a clean, compliant starting point.
Let me show you something that I have already built for you and which will help you to solve such a problem. This is one of, you can say, IDP CTL, just like a kubectl utility. Consider it just as one of the client interface that will give trigger to all my internal developer platform. You want to start it with bootstrapping a repo in a standardized way, right? Just use that IDP CTL command. Pass the name of the repository that you want to create or a microservice that you want to build and the language in which you want to build. If you want to deploy it immediately in dev, you pass that GitOps kind of parameters, right? And let me show you it live to you. So what you will be able to see, I'm just passing that command, okay? And just passing the language in which I want to develop. And in few seconds, what you will be able to see is the repo already been created for you. Now, if we go into that repo, right? What you will be able to see, everything is inbuilt. You have a standard app file been created, a Docker file been created, a CI part is been created, and a configuration manifestation. For that as well, it has been taken care. If we go a bit further into that, one level deep, you will be able to see in this sample application file, I have taken care of the instrumentation part as well, which will help us to emit some of the metrics for you. I have already created this Docker file, so containerization aspect is also already been taken care for you. And this is a standard build and CI file that we will use across the org, right? And beyond that, I have already created a sample unit test case file for you as well. And apart from that, most important, I have created a task file for you, which is a modern version of Makefile, you can say, that will help you with all your day-to-day local testing part, right? And most important thing, this repo will have a developer guide as well in place for you that will help you to know how to make best use of this repo and get your work moving forward.
This is amazing. But what if I want to deploy this service in a prod-like or staging-like environment?
So I have already built another feature for the same. Let me play it for you. So this time, instead of using the IDP CTL or a client utility, I am just showing you the developer portal like a backstage. I am again passing the same parameters. Now you want to deploy it, right? So the way in command line we have GitOps option, you have that option already available here. Now what you can do is just trigger that operation, and you will be able to see that already a standard CI pipeline, already all those stuff that I showed, that has been created. Apart from that, a standard Argo CD application file is already created. That will help you to deploy in a standardized manner. Let me fast forward it for you to make it easy. So as you could see, app, web server, kind of a sample Argo CD application file being created. That will take care of your CD part as well.
Okay, but what if I want to see the performance of the application?
So remember, I showed you the instrumentation part. Apart from that, this time I have made sure to bring some custom boilerplate dashboards as well, Grafana dashboard, that will get deployed on top of all the automations that I have done for you. And let me show you. You will be able to see this dashboard is available for you. A custom, you can say, you can use it as a boilerplate and build on top of that so that you can see the performance of your application, right? And if you are thinking I'm just focusing on the Kubernetes part, that's not the case here. If, let's say, you want to build the resources which are outside Kubernetes, you want to build S3 bucket, or you want to, let's say, do the RDBMS, anything, those stuffs as well, I will make sure to take care. For example, let's say you want to create an S3 bucket, right? As a developer, it's again a context switch and load for you to understand something about the AWS as well. Instead of that, what I will do is I will have the minimus parameters available here. Let's say you want to create a S3 bucket, right? Just pass fewest possible parameters that you can possibly have there and just trigger the operations. And what you will be able to see is immediately in few minutes, S3 bucket been created for you. So that way, the context switching also will be reduced for you. Still, if you want to see that S3 bucket is already in place for you.
So I don't have to look into Terraform or any other ISA for such things.
Exactly.
So this is actually very good, and I'm very impressed. So self-service environment, CI/CD templating, and metrics and logs where I need to see them. So this looks good, but honestly, I'm very curious. How do you even build this?
So that's a great question. And there is actually more than one way if you want to build something like that. And it depends on how much flexibility, scalability, and the scale that you need. But generally, there are these two approaches. One is, you can say, portal-centric or plugin first approach, and other is a API first approach. We have seen recent adoption around the developer portals where developer portals like Backstage are getting used. And then you use all the community-based plugins available and then build those capabilities for you. It's really great approach if you are focused on a UI-first workflows approach, but it has a bit of limitation that you are tightly coupling all these features or capabilities inside your developer portal itself. The other approach is the API first or platform-driven. In this approach, what we can do is we instead just directly giving call from your interfaces to your all the automations. We build an API layer in between that. You can call it as a backend if you want. And then this single layer via which you will be able to trigger all these operations, right? So you don't have to be aware of all the endpoints. It's just a single layer. And another advantage of that layer is you will be able to see that you bring with that the auditing and security things as well. You will be able to see who has triggered what kind of operations inside that.
So you mean to say what you showed me earlier was the best of the both worlds. So a developer like me, if he's preferable to CLI or UI, he can create the services accordingly. And it will use the same backend workflows very consistently and securely.
See, you are already speaking like a true platform engineer, right?
So, but wait, CLI, UI, it's okay for interfaces, but I'm seeing many people referring to Backstage as IDP.
I would say it's a developer portal and not a developer platform. It's a subset of your developer portal, I would say. If you want to understand it, consider a developer portal is like a face, and your developer platform is the actual muscle who does all these things. Take an example of your mobile app, right? All the transactions that you are able to see, it's just showing you on your mobile. The actual work is getting taken care by the backend that we have inside, or the capabilities that are running in the backend inside it. If you want to understand this space in much deeper way, I highly recommend you to watch this portals and platform, two peas in pods video. It's a part of a platform called, I think, by Abby, and it's a great video for you to understand if this approach can help you to solve your org's needs. And to tie it all together, right, to make it easy, we always know web, app, DB, right? To take that analogy, your developer portal is like your app, the backend layer and the automations, that you can consider like your app, and all the actual infrastructure, for the sake of understanding, you can consider as your infrastructure platform or the things that you create.
So you mean to say, don't jump straight into building a shiny portal.
Yep. I would say start with the bottom and not with the top.
But did we forget our friends?
Nope. So now as you as a developer are able to ship things faster, right? That way, then the QAs won't get bugged at the last moment to do the testing or miss out. Apart from that, what we have seen is half of the time QAs are facing the issues around the environment itself getting down. And to avoid those issues, we can, on the fly, create the QA environment with things like virtual clusters or namespace. That way, we are able to solve their problems. And about the engineering managers, right? I see half of the time maybe they fly blinds. They are always unsure if their team is going with the right velocity, what's the cost their team is creating for their org. So for them, we can surface the DORA metrics on top of our developer portal. And if they want to understand the cost factors, that also can be pulled inside our CLI or the developer portal. So they understand the FinOps part of this entire journey as well.
So, all right. So let's say you have built a platform, created golden paths, exposed APIs. But how do you know that this is actually helping the developers?
And there are these three ways or three frameworks that I can recommend to you. DORA, Space, DevEx, all three have slightly different purpose. DORA can help to the engineering managers, stakeholders to understand if the engineering efforts are getting translated into the business value or not. Space is a framework that can help you to understand more about the developer productivity. And the third is a DevEx, which has been developed by Abhinoda as a, you can say, DX team. And that framework focuses on three pillars about feedback loops, cognitive load, and flow state. Basically, it checks about the developer experience. To talk a bit in detail about that, if the feedback loop, if let's say me as a developer committing the code, and if the CI build itself is taking 30 minutes, right, I'm losing my momentum. Its feedback is coming too slow for me. Second could be the cognitive load, right? If me as a developer has to go from one tool to another tool to another tool, it's a context switching, and with that context switching, I'm having a cognitive load on myself. And third thing is a flow state. Are we creating that environment for our developers where they can go into their zone and do their work uninterrupted? Or are we calling them just for a 5 minutes meeting and we are breaking their state, right? These are some of the frameworks that I can highly recommend you as well.
Okay, I really love this. So you're not just measuring the CPU load, you're measuring the mental load also.
Exactly.
So what key takeaways you will suggest for anyone who is starting with this journey?
I would say your internal developer platform aren't just the stacks of tools or automations. They are a product with real users who are sitting in office with just like you. And for any product team to become successful, the platform team will have a win only when they solve the real problems, not just build cool tech, right? Focus on developer experience, not only on output, but outcome. And treat developer teams like a partner teams and not as someone for whom you will dictate them. And I would say beyond matrices, you should treat feedback and trust as a core metrics, right? And as Rob Zubair from, I would say, he's from Circle CI CTO, he has put it in very apt way that your platform success isn't measured by how compliant your development teams are with your tooling. It's measured by how thankful they are, how many times in a day or a week they are feeling thankful to have someone like you around. So one word or one line I would say, think like a product manager, work like a partner, and deliver like a platform engineers. And again, if you are still further interested, I would suggest you to download this platform engineering reference architecture that we have built for someone who is newly starting this journey. And that should be helpful to you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions?
me take silent as a no. I think not much.
Do we have a template, say for example, common used IDP portal or a template?
So when you say template, it's about the workflows and automation. Is that what you are referring to?
Something. See, most common, like every developer is required, is like documentation, what you are talking about, or common tools which are required. So is there anything that we use rather than we build it?
So you can go with IDP portals like Backstage and all. They have certain blueprints and plugins that you can utilize for documentation and maintain a correct documentation around that.
Hi. Here. Yeah, so you have given the Backstage as a solution for which you can say on the left-hand side, what you said, the product, right? The API first one. What are the solutions that you are projecting to make the API first products?
So what we have built is with using GraphQL server, and for this we have used Postgres, but right now there are Neo4j databases in the market. So Strawberry framework, GraphQL server, fast APIs that we have used as backend for this.
Just to add, I would say start with what in-house capabilities that you have if you want to start with building your own developer platforms.
No, that's fine. That again requires, you said start small. Backstage gives you the standard way of doing it, how to do the cataloging, how to do the templates, how to do all other stuff, right?
Right.
But for the API first side of things, where you said you need to build API first and then to plug in into Backstage, what are the products, or just like you said, Neo4j, what are the other open source products which together could make it a API first platform and then to integrate with Backstage?
So basically, it can be anything. It can be a template, embedded with any API using any server you want. Like as we mentioned, we went with GraphQL. It can be anything what developer or your developer is comfortable with, and with that you create the API and then expose it via CLI or UI.
So actually, Backstage has provided a way as well, or as part of their documentation, which can help you to understand how to build those custom plugins and APIs on your own.
He's going with the backend. How you
Achha.
Hello.
Okay.
Yeah, just adding on top of the question related to the documentation, just wanted to add one more thing. What we are doing in the Backstage is, in our company, like we have created an MCP server on top of Backstage as a plugin. So all the documentation for all the things that teams are using, they are putting it on Backstage. Now on VS Code, you can just integrate the MCP server and you can start asking questions, and it will just go through all the documentation, and you don't have to go out from your VS Code to any other place, and you will get the answer there and there itself.
Yeah. That's a next step, I would say, with the agentic capabilities.
Hi.
My question is more around how many plugins you have used from Marketplace to build these solutions that you demonstrated, and how many you had to build in-house?
So as part of the demo that I showed, most of those things I built in-house, you can say. The cost part that I was showing, right? Those are for those purpose, I use the marketplace or community-based plugins. Like KubeCost was one of the plugins that was available for Backstage, I would say.
Yeah. So my question is not related to Backstage or UI, more related on the fundamental of the platform itself. So one challenge we saw while creating those developer platform or product, sometimes if you create too abstract layer, so maybe developer miss the context, like what all things are getting created behind the scene. And that could be a bottleneck while doing any troubleshoot in case of an issue. So how did you face similar issue while in your case, and how you maintaining the right balance to where developer also understand what is getting created, at the same time give enough tool so they can create the resources?
So basically, abstraction helps developers, that is, but one way is documentation. Whatever you are abstracting, that should have a good documentation, what is it is doing backend. Secondly, what we also think is platform as a product is a collaboration. It is not just the platform team working on it, because developers are also, building a product itself has some developing capabilities. And I have seen that developers are very curious. If they are into it, it can be a collaboration. They can put contribution to the plugins and all. In that way, the, what you can say, the gray area where this knowledge is there, that can be overcome.
To add to what Ruturaj said, right? If we know our customer well, we understand what levels of abstraction we should build. Like, as you rightly pointed, if we build too much abstraction, it becomes too much basic primitives that will again create a cognitive load on them. So ideal approach is start with one pioneering team, right? Understand how much abstraction they are okay to have, and then see if that's the same thing matching for other development teams as well. Don't tightly couple for a one team as well. That part you can leave as part of the what I was highlighting as a flexible periphery. That customization part, you let them take care. You take care of only as a core aspect for from the IDP perspective.
Got it. Thanks.
Hi, I had another question. So, as platform engineer, how do you now deal with organizational challenge? Because, for example, IDP, CTL, you have Python example. So now those teams are blocked on your centralized API layer if they want to ship something sooner, and then platform teams are generally limited. So now, how do we make their experience better? Because they would want those teams who are offering these solutions themselves may have different workflow and will be now blocked on one centralized system.
Spotify has a great story on that aspect. They built the core aspect of the things, right? But again, as you mentioned, to avoid developer becoming again dependent on the core team, they suggested all their microservices or development teams to build their own plugins that you can just plug inside the main core aspect. So that's the typical nature of developers. Like, if you don't involve them from day one, and if you just meet them once and then after 3 months, if you come back saying, I am building this for you, they will say, forget it. Meanwhile, I will develop on my own. So that's the reason I was suggesting, consider them as your partner. Speak with them as frequent as possible to engage them. See if they are also interested to contribute. And with help of the APIs approach, right, you suggest them how they can also contribute back to the plugins. So in Spotify's journey as well, the main core part is the one that their platform team managing, but whatever development teams needs on their own, they are letting them that autonomy to build that things with the framework that they are providing.
Yeah. Hi. Yeah, nice insights. Thank you. We are recently getting it started with Backstage, and my question is on the backend side, right, where you have shown like S3 details you have passed. But like after that Terraform module, what you used and what is your suggestion for the backend? Is it like GitHub Action or like you are calling Jenkins? Yeah, if you could give us some insights on that part, which will help us to develop our own IDP.
So basically there are two, basically we are using, right now we are using Terraform, but you can also use Crossplane for that. Okay, because with both are them good, it is up to the organization who have, like, they want desired state to be maintained. So Crossplane can be a good fit. You can, for easy and fast update with Terraform, you can go with Terraform, but you can go with Terraform templatization. So for here we have gone with Python templates and Terraform to create those templates, and those are plugged in with the API.
Okay, and that is getting executed in the Backstage pod itself, or that is calling some API?
So that's where our backend in between layer that we have built, right? That layer makes sure to trigger all those standard workflows or golden paths that we have created and in place.
Yes, so your workflow, where it runs, right? Is it like GitHub Action or GitHub Action?
For this demo, yes, it's a GitHub Action that we used.
Thank you.
Again, it's about your in-house expertise. Start with that is what we would recommend.
Yeah.
If I think as a platform engineer, if I want to have customization over whatever the resources that I'm developing, how your platform is supporting, okay? And as a security engineer, if I think I need to have a control over the customization that anybody brings into the platform. So are there any controls that you have made for both?
For security purpose, right? The platform as a product mindset is very helpful because all the security are embedded, the compliance is embedded in the customization. So if somebody is creating S3 bucket, in the template itself, we make sure that the security, encryption and everything, I'm just giving an example, that is already embedded in the template. So if anybody creates a bucket, it is compliant with security. And that part, embedding the security compliance, that you can talk with your InfoSec team or security teams and get it certified that, okay, these, whoever will create these services are secure, right from start.
What if the platform engineer wants in customization on top of whatever the pre-built templates are already available? Let's suppose I want an S3 bucket, but for some reason that S3 bucket needs to be publicly available, or an EC2 instance that needs to be having a certain type of access restriction also, access allowance also. Like for that, are there any setups?
Customization we can talk, because if it is not like going into security compliance, then there should be some change management or something that should process brought in the picture, and it should be correctly signed off from the stakeholders. Then only it can be customized accordingly.
So I have a question. So in a typical R&D type of development environment, right? So we will have a lot of things to explore, like lot of tools, etc. Right? So in that case, the IDP product which is already built, right? It also has to keep evolving, and it has to keep getting added with the features. So I mean, is there a way where we can add features, etc. during R&D?
So basically the idea of product mindset, what we have seen is iteration. So first you start with the shared pain points, and those are with more friction in day-to-day life, it will help. That will be a priority list. And once that is achieved, you get all other features also. Those are actually hampering developer experience and all. So accordingly, iteration after iteration, you can groom your product accordingly.
And that's where the roadmap thing helps to consistently going, talking, understanding the next pain point or features that we should build. So that's where the product mindset comes into the play.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one question. So what are the best practices of implementing the IDP portals? Let's suppose which will not give us a vendor logging sort of system. Because when we talk about when we building an IDP platform on the Azure, if we want to sometime we need to move on to AWS, then we will not able to do that easily, because it has the login, and how the portal is created is based on the Azure only, not the AWS. So is there any possibility we can have that IDP portal which can cater both the platforms or other platforms as well?
So if you are considering the platform, now platform can be deployed on any AWS or Azure. But if you are talking about portal, then those portal, I think if you take Backstage, right? Backstage can be deployable on Azure, can be deployable on AWS. So if you're building your own portal, then that can come into picture.
And OSS is the way always to avoid that vendor locking things, I would say. And make sure to have that open source solutions. Backstage is one of them. Yeah.
Because let's suppose today my application is running on some Azure service, and I have already developed an IDP portal onto top of that, and now I need to move that same service onto the AWS. So is it not easy? Like we need to change few things around that. We need to build IDP according to that portal, then we can move that into that.
That's where I would say when you are building, try to have the loosely coupled architecture, right? So that these parts, that's where the plugin part or the APIs part comes into the play. So you don't get locked into the system. If you, so that's the reason I'm suggesting to go for the common framework that can connect or help you to switch platform from one to another, rather than just hard coding or hooting for one particular cloud or any solutions.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So my question is regarding the config and state management from the DevOps end. Is that when you create these tools, we have one API-based tool that we have written in Golang. So what happens is the configs and states you have to maintain for these stuff like you have shown, that itself becomes a challenge. So what is your experience in maintaining that state and configs?
GitOps is a way I would say. Are you talking about the backend part or the configuration files of all the applications and all?
Yeah, the config or YAML files, whatever you are using on the backend.
Yeah, GitOps is generally way we consider as a way forward. Consider Git as a single source where if any change has to go into that system, it has to go via Git alone. And it's already we are version controlling. So that way we don't have too much get troubled with those issues.
Okay, and how do you templatize the config so that let's say 20 lines are required by the developer to fill in, since it's a CLI tool, what thought process do you put into templatize it into lesser number of lines?
Yeah, go on.
So templates you create earlier first, and then you make the parameters out of it. And you make sure that, again, how much, let's say the developer is having not good experience with filling all those things, there comes your expertise, like how you can abstract it in the form of template, like with one template, with region, I'm going with tier 1 or tier 2, that I can autofill based on one parameter. So that, I think you need to sit with developer and create that template accordingly.
So common wares you can, once you talk with different development teams, you understand exactly what things they need generally. Generally what we have seen is they don't care about what are the underlying parameters or AWS specific customization or things that we have to pass. For example, that S3 bucket, all that he cares is about his bucket name and the policies. So having that conversation as early with your customers helps you to understand what exactly is they care for, and then you abstract rest of the things from them in a common wares format.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Thank you all. Thank you for it.
Thank you.